Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. Lindsay.
Here.
We don't know what's up with Ben. Dar.
Here.
Adam.
Here.
Maureen.
Here.
And Bailey is sick. I understand. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comments. The City Council will receive public comments, I'm going to read it this way, on any issue related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the City Council may take place. Not seeing any, we'll go to the consent agenda. Library Board minutes of July 15th of 26. City Council minutes of August 10th, 26.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That goes on. Reports of standing committees and commissions. Finance Committee budget meeting Wednesday, September 23rd at 5 o'clock. We'll have another budget meeting on Wednesday, October 7th at 4 o'clock. Planning Commission, September meeting is canceled. Next meeting will be October 5th at 6 o'clock. Parks and Public Works. Next meeting is September 21st at 5 o'clock. Health and Safety. Next meeting is Monday, September 14th at 5 o'clock. Personnel meeting Wednesday, August 26th at 5 o'clock. And then we'll set the next meeting in the Personnel Committee at that time. Public comments. The City Council will receive public comments on any issue not related to the agenda items. Limited discussion by the City Council may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item. This includes receiving written requests and documentation and possible action at a future meeting. Review and presentation of the 2025 audit report by Johnson Block CPAs. Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to turn it over to Johnson Block. Matthew Baumkamp is here to present. Matt, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
So I'll let you share your screen if you're able to pull up the presentation, if that works for you.
All right. Are you guys able to see that?
Yep.
Okay. So as Matt introduced me, my name is Matt Baumkamp. I've been at Johnson Block for a number of years now, but this was the first year that I worked on the city of Prescott as the kind of main in charge. So I'll be going over some general financial information. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I'll keep it fairly brief because I know there can be a lot of information. So again, if there's anything that you guys want me to pause on, just let me know and I can do my best to answer those questions. So every year with the audit, we will issue an audit report. This includes an independent auditor's report where we issue an unmodified opinion, essentially stating that everything within the report we believe is materially correct and would not mislead any readers. The next section includes the management discussion and analysis. This just gives a little more detailed narrative on some of the things that took place during 2025 for the city. Then it goes into the government-wide financial statements, which report both the governmental and business type activities as a whole. This is a full accrual basis of accounting, and I'll get into a little bit of what the differences are between that and then the fund statements. And then the governmental fund statements are, we disclose some conversions between fund accounting and full accrual accounting in that section as well. There's then the fund financial statements. So this is the contains the financial statement of the individual funds that the city has. This is the accounting that the city does during their normal day-to-day. The government-wide is what we do for accounting practices. We have to convert it to those. So it has the different funds, which include The governmental funds that measure resources available for current uses. Those funds include the major funds of General Fund, TIF number 4, TIF number 5, a Capital Improvements Fund, and then the non-major funds are combined into one column. Business type funds, which are similar to how businesses work. Includes the water, sewer, and storm sewer. So these are funded primarily by revenues from customers. And then the major difference between the accounting for the funds and the government-wide is debt, proceeds, and expenditures are in the fund statement. So when you guys borrow, you count all of that as revenue, and then you have the payments. But on the government-wide funds, we show those as outstanding debt obligations, and then capital assets. On the fund statements, those just go as expenses, whereas on government-wide, we still show those as assets. After those, we have the notes to the financial statements. This is the longest part of the report. It contains a summary of significant accounting principles, as well as any relevant footnotes related to significant financial statement accounts, such as cash, plant, and debt. And then at the end of the report, we have required supplementary information and supplementary information. This includes any budget to actual comparison schedules for the general fund. The Wisconsin retirement system has some schedules that are required to be reported, and then a breakout of the non-major funds. We also have a required audit communication document that you guys either have gotten or will get. This includes the audit matters required to be communicated to the governing body. It includes standard communication, as well as a list of our adjusting journal entries, and then our management letter comments, as well as an appendix that includes all journal entries made during the audit. This year, as well as for 2024, the city required a single audit report. This takes place whenever more than the federally required threshold for federal expenditures has been met. So that threshold was $750,000 in 2024 and $1 million in 2025. So within that report, we issue an independent auditor's report on compliance. For this, we also had an unmodified opinion. We also list a schedule of expenditures of federal and state awards. This just breaks out what departments those awards came from the federal government. And then a schedule of findings and questions cost, which includes any material weaknesses. We did have one, which was related to material audit adjustments. This is one that we had for the last few years, as well as at a lot of our clients. Essentially, it just means that we're making some pretty large journal entries, but they mostly have to do with kind of the closing process of the books. It's not necessarily significant errors that are made during the year. It's kind of just cleaning things up. And again, a lot of our municipalities have that finding, so it's not unique to Prescott at all. Now I'll get into some of the financial statement highlights. So comparisons for the general fund between 2025 and 2024. Overall, there was no big changes between total assets, liabilities, deferred inflows, or fund balance. On this slide, for the second half, we have a summarized income statement, budget, and actual comparison. So it was budgeted for 2025 to have a net change in fund balance, a loss of about $240,000. There actually ended up being a gain of about $7,000. We also break up what the fund balance is made up of. So non-spendable, this is essentially money that is not actually available to be spent on various costs. Those are mainly advances to other funds. So funds were given out at one point and they'll be paid back from those other funds. Assigned fund balance, this is expected balances to be paid for vacation and sick leave that's been accrued for employees. And then unassigned, the remaining about $2.5 million, that is available to be spent on anything. And then we have a summary comparing all special revenue funds, capital projects funds, and the debt service fund between 2024 and 2025. So no real significant changes on any of those funds between years either. Looking at the utilities for water, sewer, and stormwater, A couple things to point out. The water revenues increased quite a bit. That was due to a rate case that took place. So users were charged more and more revenues were brought in. The tax equivalent, so the third line down, that is something that the board has approved how much they actually want the water utility to pay. So that increased this year from 38,000 to 110,000. So with the increase in revenues, there was also that increase in tax equivalent and overall operating expenses. So the net loss for total operating income was comparable to the prior year. Sewer overall revenues were fairly comparable, with expenses being slightly higher. So they experienced a loss instead of an income this year. And then stormwater also had rates increase. So revenues went up slightly, but expenses also increased. So that one had a small net income. This year has a fairly small net loss. Looking at the cash flows, water overall increased cash by about 700,000. That is mainly due to the PFAS settlement money that came in. So the overall operating activities increased quite a bit related to that. Sewer had a large net loss or net loss of cash in 2024 compared to 2025 due to a debt reallocation. So that capital and related financing, there was debt that was moved to other funds. So that decreased the cash balance there. And then stormwater, overall, just lower operating activities this year. So about net zero cash change in 2024 and then decrease this year. Here we have a comparison of 2023, 24, and 25 for each of the funds for what their net income or losses were. So water has seen a loss every year, with 2024 being fairly substantial. Sewer has seen income in 23 and 24, with that income decreasing, and then a loss in 2025. And then stormwater has been operating around net even for operating income all 3 years. Now changing to the different functions within the city, looking at total expenses for the last 5 years for general government, public safety, public works, health and human services, culture and rec, conservation development, capital outlay, and debt service. Overall, most are trending up slightly just due to inflation. Some kind of notable trend breakers are debt service, with a big jump in 2023. That kind of just fluctuates based on when debt matures or if any new debt is taken out to pay off other debt. And then public works had a pretty big decrease in 2024. That was due to garbage no longer being charged directly to users and then having to pay the garbage and recycling company. So that was a pretty big decrease in expenses there. We also have kind of graphs showing the various percentages by each category. So public safety for both years is about 50%, and then general government and public works are about 16 to 18% and 10 to 14%. So no significant changes kind of between categories over the last 2 years. Looking at revenues, kind of similar to expenses, we'd expect them to kind of just generally trend upwards. The only one that's slightly different is the public charges for services in 2024 decreasing quite a bit. Again, that's just for the garbage. So while the expenses decreased, so did the revenues, because that's going directly from users to the garbage company now instead of through the city. We have a graph for this as well. So overall revenues, taxes make up about 50%. Intergovernmental revenues from the federal and state governments make up about 25 to 28%. And then the other are smaller percents, but again, no big changes between years for those. For your general obligation debt, this is essentially how much can be borrowed if needed. The blue line is the debt limit, so that's the max that can be borrowed, and then the red line is the total outstanding, so what the city currently has. And currently there's about you guys are only at 74% capacity, or have about 25 million that could be borrowed if needed. We also have a trend in the property taxes. So for what the city has, as well as the TIF districts for the last 3 years, And then I did want to point out that TIF number 6 is new in 2025. So that's why that was 0 for 23 and 24. We also have a breakout of what makes up the total levy. So the school makes up about 42% of the levy, the city at 24, the county at 18, and then the TIF districts at 12% of the levy. And then we also have a breakout of total cost compared to revenue by functions. So all of those have a net negative cost just because they're not designed to be self-sufficient. You guys are mostly funded by your taxes as well as other municipalities. So total governmental activities funded by just their general revenues are a loss of about 4 million. But then with your tax levy and other revenues, that's positive about 5 million. So there's a net increase of about 800,000 there. Are there any questions for me?
There are no questions, Matthew, so I think unless there's anything else that council has for,
Not that I can think of. He's done a pretty good job.
I don't think so.
okay.
On to the
Okay,
next budget.
thank you guys for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then we'll go to approval of plan of specifications for alley storm sewer improvements behind Broad Street between Cherry and Orange Street, and a negotiation to develop agreement with the Prescott Lodging LLC. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So we've been working with Megan and the Langers at the property that just was purchased by them at 216 Broad Street. They're working to redevelop the property that is formerly Lucille's. And one of the issues that has been a long-term problem along that alley in the back of Broad Street there is that both that property and the property next to that, 220 Broad Street, are essentially sloped directly into the buildings themselves. So as part of the redevelopment, we were working on solutions that could be developed to fix the stormwater issue. One of the ideas was trying to connect to the Circle K property, which has stormwater. There's a drain in the corner of the property next to the alley. Unfortunately, that is all private property. We don't know of any easements that exist. And additionally, we don't know if the design capacity of that pipe could handle the additional drainage that would need to be done to tie into that. So as a result, council approved moving forward with designing a storm sewer extension in that alleyway via resolution 42-26. So tonight, what before you is the plan and specifications for that. The plans up here on the screen kind of show basically the removal of this section of alleyway and then the storm sewer drain that's currently storm sewer manhole 100 would be connected down the alleyway to this storm catch basin 102, and then a private connection would be made into the 216 Broad Street, which would allow for drainage of the property into that drain that would connect to the city system and then go towards Cherry Street. There is an additional option that would allow then for also 220 Broad Street if that property owner was interested in working and making that connection as well, and that's what's shown here in blue. So initially we had discussed possibly moving forward with doing this work ourselves in terms of having public works staffs work at doing this. Unfortunately, we do not have the type of equipment. It could be done by us, but it would take weeks, whereas the Langers are already looking at putting in a brand new building, which they'll be coming before Plan Commission and Council in the future on that. So since that work is already scheduled to be done by contractors rather than us dealing with it, and also there's overhead power lines that we would have to work around and work through, the preferred option would be that we would work through a development agreement with Prescott Lodging LLC in terms of that development as part of that approval process that would make these public improvements and then we would reimburse them through that development agreement. as part of that. The Public Works would still be removing, sawing and removing the asphalt area in the alleyway, as well as part of that development agreement. Then after that, though, per the agreement, the idea would be that we would negotiate to have their contractors complete the other public improvements. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions. We're looking for 2 approvals tonight. One is for the alley storm sewer improvement plans and specifications, and then the other is to authorize staff to begin negotiations with Prescott Lodging LLC for a development agreement regarding completion of the public improvements associated with that project. And the Langers, Megan and Troy are both here as well if you have questions for them. I'll turn it over.
I did talk to Todd, and he, on Thursday, and as of Thursday, he was all for going along with the project and tying in.
Good.
So anybody else got anything? So I guess we need a motion.
Do you want 2 separate motions?
You can do it all, if
Okay.
you want to wrap it all into one, whatever's easiest for
Yeah,
council.
I'll make a motion to approve plans and specifications for the alley stormwater sewer improvements behind the Broad Street between Cherry Street and Orange Street, and to negotiate a development agreement with Prescott Lodging LLC.
Second?
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion at all? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next thing up is approval of the School Resource Officer Program intergovernmental agreement between the City of Prescott and the Prescott School District. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So this year we began renegotiations of the SRO agreements that we have with the school district. The major provisions that have changed within the agreement is an increase of annual pay for services from up to $33,163. Annual cost of living adjustment, the previous agreement we had did not have a cost of living adjustment, and it is the lesser of the two, either a percentage increase in the certified staff salaries approved by Prescott School District or the percentage wage adjustment applicable to employees covered by the Prescott Police Union Collective Bargaining Agreement. And then some other modifications, SRO scheduling and staffing, additionally, additional overtime and services in terms of splitting the cost of overtime. These are in addition to the pay. We've never used this before. It's unlikely we're going to use again, but it is just add some language for clarification. And then one of the things that we worked through with Chief Michaels and Lieutenant Stewart, along with the school district, was adding an Exhibit B, the clarified roles and responsibilities that's been added. So the school district has already reviewed this at their meeting last Wednesday and approved the agreement, so it's before you tonight for consideration. I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
Motion to approve the new agreement for the School Resource Officer Program between the City of Prescott and the Prescott School District.
Second.
We get a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that passes. Next is approval of the surveyor for the Jewel Street CSM. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. So currently the city owns a piece of land at the end of Jewel Street. You can see it outlined there in the map. It is just over, sorry, I'm forgetting the exact acreage, but it's over an acre in terms of size, just over an acre in size. One of the things that we've been working on is right now, you can kind of see in the map, the right-of-way ends before the last house here on Jewel Street. And initially this was started because somebody was interested in putting a house on this piece of property. So we did have it appraised. The value came back at $102,000. That's based on the assumption that driveway and utility connections can be provided to Jewel Street. So since then, we have had discussions with the school district because they are the ones who technically then own this section here once our right-of-way ends, about working on a CSM that would give us a 100-foot extension as well. So a map was put together by City Planner Luke, and so that would, the CSM, the proposal would be that would give us a 100-foot of right-of-way extension that would be able to serve and connect the existing driveway for the property at the end of Jewel Street, and then also potentially if there was also, if this land was sold and a house was built on it as well. As part of that CSM, we would also have a 12-foot trail right-of-way between the two lots in case there was ever a trail connection made to the north. So staff has reached out and got 2 proposals for completing the CSM. The first one was Brandon King Land Surveying at a quote of $2,000, and then Ogden Engineering at an estimated $2,300 to $2,500. We've had more experience with Ogden Engineering in terms of we worked with them on a number of projects. We have not had as many experience from Brandon King Land Surveying, so staff is asking to approve the Ogden Engineering at the additional cost. However, if council, we don't have any negative things about Brandon King Land Surveying other than we just don't have any experience working with them, so we just know the product in terms of Ogden Engineering.
Are you saying we have no experience with this second one at all?
We have never worked
Not
directly
at
with
all.
them. Other people that have come and got approvals have worked with Brandon King Land Surveying.
I'm in favor of the lower quote. And if that for some reason doesn't fit your needs, then in the future, obviously, the person you have more experience with.
We'll know better next time.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you
So
think,
are you
Maureen?
making a motion, or?
I think it's fine, whatever the staff want to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either one. I make a motion to approve the surveyor to proceed with the preparation of Jewel Street CSM for Brandon King Land Surveying for $2,000.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Introduction of a new Public Works Director, Ryan Newland.
Come on down.
You get
Hi.
Hi, good evening, everybody. For those I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, I'm Ryan Newland. I'm the city's new Public Works Director. I'm really excited to be here and be involved in the community here and hopefully continue to have a really good Public Works Department. A little bit about my background. I come from county public works and a strong construction background in residential and civil. So I look forward to bringing my expertise here to the city and hopefully doing some great things.
We're glad to have you.
Yes,
Thank you.
welcome.
Welcome. That's all I got, though.
We're just glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, after Ryan, we got the other business, Prescott Historical Society Appreciation Event invitation for Tuesday, August 25th, from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. Next, we have a closed session. The closed session is Wisconsin State Statute 1985 1-G, conferring with legal counsel for governmental body who is rendering oral and written advice concerning strategy to be adopted of the body with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved. City-owned property at 256 Front Street.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Lindsay?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
We're in closed session, so we need everybody to...
Goodbye. Thank you for coming
Thank you,
tonight.
Ro.
Thank you.
Bye, Megan.
Bye,
I'm so
Megan.
excited for her. For her business.
It's good stuff.